Welcome back to our Auto Tech 5 channel. Today, we're taking a trip back in time to the golden era of muscle cars. The Pontiac GTO, a name that started a revolution, a car that defined American muscle, and a beast that still turns heads decades later. Buckle up because this is going to be one thrilling ride. The Pontiac GTO was introduced in 1964, and while it wasn't the first powerful American car, it was the one that made muscle cars a phenomenon. It started as an option package for the Pontiac Tempest, but due to its roaring success, it became its own model and the GTO's golden era stretched through the late 60s and early S before muscle cars faded due to stricter regulations. Under the hood, depending on the model year, you could get a monstrous cubic inch in the earlier models or the fire-breathing in later versions. This car was all about raw power and attitude. With power ranging from 2 horsepower, mph times in the to 6-second range, and that unmistakable V8 rumble, the GTO was a force to be reckoned with. This car isn't just about speed, it's about presence. The GTO's design evolved through the years, but one thing remained the same: it was a head-turner. The split grille up front, with its quad headlights and aggressive stance, gave it an intimidating road presence. Some models featured the famous Endura front bumper, a flexible material that eliminated the need for a chrome bumper, way ahead of its time. The functional hood scoops weren't just for show, they helped feed cool air into that hungary, giving the GTO even more muscle. The body lines were sleek yet muscular, with a long hood and short rear deck, classic muscle car proportions. And let's not forget those wide rear tires, necessary to keep all that power in check. Step inside, and you're greeted with a cabin that screams vintage American muscle. The dash was simple but effective, with deep-set round gauges that made you feel like you were piloting a jet. The RPM tach, speedometer, and classic AM radio, everything had that 1960s charm. Manual lovers will appreciate the classic Hurst shifter, a must-have for any real muscle car enthusiast. And if you had an automatic, it came with the famous his and hers dual-gate shifter for quick manual control. The bucket seats were comfortable, offering decent support, but let's be honest, this was a car made for straight-line speed, not corner carving. Still, for a car of this era, the interior was quite premium. You might think that muscle cars are all about brute force, but the GTO was surprisingly comfortable for its time. The suspension was designed for straight-line speed, but it also had enough cushioning for a smooth ride. The cabin was relatively quiet at cruising speeds, but step on the gas, and that roar fills the space, something every gearhead loves. Long road trips. Sure, you could do them, but with that fuel guzzling, be prepared for frequent gas station stops. Alright, let's talk about what the GTO does best: performance. Whether you had the early or the later, one thing was certain: this car moved. With quarter-mile times in the low and even dipping into the with modifications, the GTO could humble just about anything on the streets back in the day. Brakes. Well, let's just say, stopping a car this heavy with drum brakes required some planning. Later models improved with disc brakes, but braking distances were still on the longer side. Handling wasn't its strong suit. The GTO was built for straight-line domination, so don't expect modern sports car agility. But hey, back then, it was all about the quarter mile. So, what made the Pontiac GTO so legendary? It was the car that started the muscle car craze. It had power, style, and that unmistakable American attitude. Even today, classic GTOs are some of the most sought-after muscle cars, fetching high prices at auctions. Driving a GTO is more than just a ride, it's an experience. The raw power, the rumble of that, the feeling of commanding a machine built for speed, it's something that modern cars just can't replicate. If you ever get a chance to drive one, do it. And if you own one, you've got a piece of automotive history. That's it for today's review on Proton Saga. If you love classic muscle, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments which car you want next. Until next time, keep the engines roaring.